The Christmas song is one of the most popular tunes that we hear every year, but because of the key shifts and the tricky chord changes, it's also one of the more challenging holiday tunes to play. And even after you've learned the chords and the melody and can play your way through this song, soloing over it can feel pretty overwhelming. If you've been relying on chord scales or longer bebop phrases, you may have felt like soloing on this tune is kind of like trying to hit a very quickly moving target. So in this video, I'm going to show you 5 simple ways to solo over the Christmas song that will help you feel calm and creative as you improvise instead of fearful and frantic. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm taking a look at a lead sheet here for the Christmas song, and the first thing that I'm noticing is that the chords are moving very quickly. At the very least, we are moving 2 chords per measure, and at the very most, a lot of times there are chords that are moving every single beat. So this makes it really difficult to solo over, but the nice thing about this is actually that when the chords are moving this quickly, we can make the harmony the star of the show. So the first way I recommend getting started soloing is by, rather than thinking about your soloing as a right hand melody and a left-hand set of chords, I recommend playing the chords in the song with both hands, just getting comfortable with the harmony, especially when these chords are moving so quickly. So that might sound something like this. Here I'm using a voicing system where I have a shell in the left hand and then a full chord in the right hand. I call this the basic voicing system. But essentially what we're doing is we're playing the chords with both hands, and we're just thinking about our top note as our melodic line. So we can start out with something like I played, but then we can maybe start to expand a little bit and create an actual melodic line with the notes that we're playing. So maybe something like this. So essentially what we're doing here is we are playing chord tones for our melody, and we're trying to find a way that we can actually create a cohesive, melodic sounding melody with just those notes that are at the top of the chords. When you're just getting started soloing, it can be tempting to focus on all of the possible scales that you could play over each chord and getting really into jazz phrasing and angular melodies, and we do love that. However, when you're getting started, I recommend sticking with things that you can sing, and especially when you're playing a song that has chords that move so rapidly as this one, it can be a lot to have to, in addition to thinking about all of the chords, having to think about all of the scales that you could play over these different chords. So simplify, focus on the chords, and once you're comfortable, you can start to expand beyond just the chord tones and play something a little bit more interesting in your right hand. Now that you've built a solid foundation with the harmony, we can start stepping outside the harmony a little bit with something that I like to call neighborhood notes. But before we jump into that, if you've tried playing the Christmas song or other similar jazz standards and you felt overwhelmed by the chords, you might think that you just don't understand the theory well enough, or that you just need to practice more. But usually the real issue is that you don't have a simple process for learning new jazz standards. So my course, the Jazz Piano Launchpad, does exactly this. It teaches you a 4-step process for mastering new tunes very quickly. And this will give you the foundation to be able to solo confidently over each new song that you actually learn. It also includes everything that you need to be able to play in a jazz combo and attend your first jam session. That includes jazz harmony, comping, and improvisation. And when you enroll during the month of December, you'll also get the holiday expansion pack included in your enrollment so that you can apply everything that you're learning directly to your favorite Christmas standards. So if that sounds helpful, definitely go ahead and check out the link in the description, and let's get back into the video. So neighborhood soloing is where we're still focusing on chord tones, but we're going to start stretching a little bit outside of chord tones to start creating more melodic, fluid melodies. And this comes from understanding that no matter the chord, you can always play notes that are outside of the chord to create tension and interest. So if I'm playing a chord like E flat 6, as we have in the song, I can easily move from the 3rd to the 5th like this with a passing tone. I can also do upper neighbors like this. I'm just going above that 5th and then back down. I can also start on the 3rd. I can go below the 3rd and then back. And notice that by just doing that, I've opened up a whole new set of notes that span the distances between all of the different chord tones. And you don't have to play just notes that are in the key. You could do something like this. Even that one sounds a little bluesy. But just by understanding that we can have our chord tones as our anchor notes that we're kind of working from, and then we can experiment with getting outside of them, we can start to create entire melodic lines. And this is how that would sound like on the Christmas song. So the reason that this works so well is that every other note in the scale or in the key is a chord tone. And so just by spanning the distance between those chord tones, we have the entire scale available to us. And that can create a lot of interest and will allow us to create solos that are much more melodic and singable. Once again, when we're just getting started soloing, we always want to connect our playing to something that we would actually want to hear, that we would be able to sing. And focusing on chord tones as well as neighborhood soloing or playing notes that are just outside of the chord are a great way to play something that's very melodic and will work for any context. However, if we only focus on harmony, we're ignoring the most important soloing tool that we have in any song, which is the melody. And why is the melody the most important soloing tool that we have? It's because it's the part of the tune that everyone knows. The best improvisers always make their solos feel like they are growing organically out of the melody, rather than feeling like they're random and disjointed. So there are a few different ways that we can practice this. So the first way I recommend integrating the melody into your improvisation is by playing the melody in the right hand, and then when you get to a held out note, improvise around that held out note. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing the melody, and then whenever I get to that held out note, I am using neighborhood soloing or chord tone soloing to practice throughout that measure. And for this one, notice how even though the chord is changing every beat, because the note is held out for most of the measure, we know that this G is going to work for the entire measure. So for that entire measure, we can experiment with different ways of playing around that. So just treat it as if we have a held out note and we can do neighborhood soloing around it. So we can do neighbor notes above or below. We can even work to a chord tone of one of the other chords if you have time. Or you can just keep it simple with keeping that same note and playing a few rhythms. And by practicing in this way, we're building the flexibility to be able to play around the melody rather than just playing the melody exactly as is. The second way I recommend practicing this is by alternating between playing the solo as is and using the soloing methods that we've already talked about. So you could play 2 measures with the melody exactly as is, and then solo for 2 measures. You could go back to the melody. And then the third way I recommend practicing this is by only using the melody in the sections that you find a little bit tricky. So in this song, a trickier part is getting to the G major and then into the G flat major. So every time you play this section, you would practice soloing for the first 6 measures, and then once you get into the G major, you're going to play the melody exactly as is. So starting from the beginning, I could do something like this. Now I'm playing the melody. And practicing this way is going to make it so that there are a lot more songs available to you to play than you might think. If you're just opening up a real book and you're seeing a lot of chords that you're not familiar with, you might feel really intimidated thinking, oh, I definitely can't play this song yet. But if you have a few easy ways to get started soloing and you can lean heavily on the melody, it means that those songs will not be so scary when you go to solo on them, because you can always revert back to the melody. But if you want a real secret weapon for handling the most difficult parts of any tune, you'll want to use this next technique, which is common tone soloing. So it's fairly easy to feel overwhelmed when you're looking at a set of quickly moving chord changes as we have in the first 2 measures of the Christmas song. But what you probably didn't realize is that there's one note that works over the entirety of the first 2 measures. Check this out. Right? So this B flat works on every single one of these chords. And so when we're looking for ideas for soloing, or we're just looking for something to grab onto, we need to find these notes that work over a lot of the different chords. So I could solo over this just like this. Right? So my whole solo, or my improvisation over these 2 first measures, were all based on this B flat. Now, this all works because everything is in the key of E flat. Even the C7, it just barely goes outside of the key of E flat, and then we're back to a 2-5-1 to E flat. So this 5th of the key is usually going to work, and that's kind of just a trick that you can use, is that for any key that you're playing, try to find the 5th of the key, and you'll find that a lot of times you can play that note or notes around that note for the majority of that chord progression. But what happens if we have a chord progression that's a little bit more involved, such as what we have here in the second line, right? We have a section that has a 2-5-1 to G major, and then a 2-5-1 to G flat major. Well, you might be thinking that you need to learn all the scales and that you need to make sure that you have all your fundamentals down in all of those keys. Well, you do need that, but in the meantime, as you're gaining those skills, you can actually take a hint from the melody, and you can use this common tone that's here in the melody. So this B natural works all the way through this 2-5-1 in G major, and then it also works in the A flat minor to the D flat 7, and then finally when we get to the G flat major 7, we need to switch it to a B flat. But over this entire section, you can solo over this B, or rather you can have this B as kind of your anchor note that you return to. So common tone soloing is a great way that you can be able to look at a complex set of chord changes and find out the notes that are shared between those chords so that it's easier to improvise between them. But what happens when there aren't any notes that are shared between the chords? Well, that brings us to our 5th and final technique for today, which is guide tone soloing. So notice how when we were looking at this 2-5-1 in G flat, we have this B that works on the top, which eventually has to shift to the B flat. This is a guide tone, and basically what it means is that it's a note that we hear that makes the chord shift from one chord to the next. Using these guide tones, finding the notes that need to shift from one chord to the other is a great way to make it actually feel like we're playing those chords when we are improvising. There are some common guide tones, such as when we look at the 2-5-1 chord progression. If we just look at the thirds and the sevenths, notice how these top two notes shifted by just half steps from chord to chord, but there are other opportunities for guide tones that we can find the more time that we spend with different chord progressions. So, for example, in this section, in the second line, of course, we have our B natural that helps shift us from the G major to the G flat major, or the 2-5-1 to G flat, and then we switch to the B flat. But there are also more complex guide tones that you can use to guide your lines, such as this. Right? That wasn't a third to a seventh, it was actually a fifth to a sharp 9 to a seventh. So I can take this more complex guide tone path from the fifth to the sharp 9 to the seventh, and then I can use it to solo around, something like this. And my purpose of bringing that up is not for you to know what that guide tone path is, but for just to show you that there are different options that you can take. For right now, it might just be thirds and sevenths, but eventually you'll be able to find a bunch of different ways to find guide tones that lead you through a set of complex chord changes. And unlocking these different guide tone paths can greatly open up the possibilities for you when you're soloing over a song like the Christmas song. So I encourage you to try all 5 of these techniques on both the Christmas song as well as any other songs that you play during this holiday season. Once again, we have chord tone soloing, and then the second one is stepping a little bit outside of chord soloing with neighborhood soloing. We have melody-focused soloing, and then we have our common tones and our guide tones. So I know that that may seem like a lot to work on your own. So if you want a step-by-step process for learning jazz standards and building this foundation for jazz piano that's going to make all of these soloing ideas feel much more easy and natural for you, I'd recommend that you check out the Jazz Piano Launchpad, which is going to give you this foundation and help you get to the point where you can play with a jazz combo or go to a jam session. And if you are intrigued by how I use the melody in my improv examples in that third technique, which is melody-based soloing, I'd recommend watching this next video where I go much deeper into how you can practice turning melodies into jazz improvisation. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.